Is he fortunate? Is he who remembers Allah abundantly? Worldly distractions cannot mildly sway his thoughts of Allah and Judgment Day. Righteous is he who bows to one he cannot see, whose deeds do not spring without Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, welcome to our program, The Excellence of Manners. I'm your host, Muhammad Mamdouh. We've been covering many of these manners that we as Muslims are supposed to have, and it's been a very beneficial program, so I hope you've been watching. Today's episode is a very important topic, and it's a long topic, and we're going to try to condense it as much as possible. And this topic is speaking about the manners and etiquettes of dealing with your spouse, whether it is your husband or your wife. So I hope this is going to be a beneficial talk. And with us, of course, is Sheikh Saeed El-Gadi from London, who has a background in Sharia, Islamic law, and education. Sheikh Saeed, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless Muhammad.
We want to get right into this topic Inshallah, because it's a long topic, and we want to cover both sides, from the woman's perspective and from the wife's, from the husband's perspective. To begin with, any marriage in Islam is based on the marriage contract. Okay, This is how we start our marriage between a man and a woman. What is the value or importance of the marriage contract?
May Allah bless you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Oh, praise you to Allah alone. We praise Him, we thank Him, we seek His guidance and His forgiveness. And we repent to Him, we seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our souls. If you ponder on the Quran, you will see that there is no contract that is mentioned in the Quran and is called or named to be sacred except three contracts. So the contract of marriage in Islam is very sacred. One of those three contracts is the contract of marriage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He spoke about the second type, the second contract which is very sacred as well in Islam, which is the contract that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made with His prophets. The contract of prophethood. It is very sacred. Allah ta'ala, when we spoke about it, Allah ta'ala said, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ مِيثَاقَهُمْ. And remember, when we took the covenant from the prophets, their covenants. وَمِنْكَ وَمِنْ نُوحٍ وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى وَعِيسَى. And we took a covenant from you, and from Ibrahim, and from Musa, and from Isa. وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. And from Nuh, and we took from them a very sacred covenant. Allah Ta'ala called it مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا, a sacred covenant. And when He spoke about the covenant that He took from the people of the children of Israel, Allah Ta'ala said, وَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ لَا تَعْدُوا فِي السَّبْتِ وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. And we told them, don't transgress in the day of Saturday. And we took from them a sacred contract, a sacred covenant. This is the second one. The third one is the covenant of marriage. Allah Ta'ala called it and named it to be a sacred contract. Allah Ta'ala said, وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَ. And how come you can take it? Meaning the dowry. How can you take the dowry back? How can you claim it back from your wives after you had with them a life, after you had with them after the marriage? وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَهُ وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ وَأَخَذْنَ مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. And they've taken from you a sacred contract. So Allah Ta'ala named it to be a sacred contract. In Islam, this contract is one of the most sacred contract, and you have to honor it, and you have to respect it, and you have to fulfill all conditions that are in this contract.
We had mentioned before in a previous episode regarding keeping your promises and fulfilling your promise, that the most important promise to fulfill, or one of the most important, is the promise you made during this contract.
May Allah bless you. Jazakallah khair.
And of course, when we are dealing with our wives, the base should be kindness.
Kindness, exactly.
What are some of the virtues of this?
Being kind towards your wife?
Yes.
May Allah bless you. First of all, let me emphasize that being kind towards your wife is a right for your wife. Is a right for your wife.
You have to be kind.
You have to be kind. Allah Ta'ala in the Quran said, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and consort with them in kindness, and treat them with kindness. Be gentle towards them. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا, and if you hate them, you might hate something. وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا, you might hate something that Allah Ta'ala may place on it a lot of good, a lot of benefits. And also we have in the other verse, فَإِمْسَاكٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ, you either treat them well and be kind towards them and be gentle towards them, or leave them. But don't abuse them. Don't maltreat them. Don't mistreat them. It's not allowed in Islam. It is their right to be kind towards them and to be gentle towards them. And it is also an act of worship. Once you are nice towards your wife, it's an act of worship. Allah Ta'ala will reward you for this.
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah Ta'ala.
So this is how we should look at
it. Yeah, look at
it
from this angle, that it is an act of worship. You are kind towards her not because she's being kind towards you or she has this status or whatever. You are kind towards her because Allah Ta'ala ordered you to be kind towards her. It is an act of worship. Allah Ta'ala will reward you for it. And you have in the hadith, استوصوا بالنساء خيرا. Be kind towards women. Be kind towards women because they are like captives in your house. So be kind towards her and be nice towards her. It is one of her rights, and also it is an act of worship for you, and Allah Ta'ala will reward you for it, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair. Allahu alam if this is kind of a trend before in previous generations, but in current generations, there's a lot of conflict and between the husband and wife, and usually they say 50% of marriages end in divorce, and all these tragic things, mainly because of this base is not there.
Exactly.
How can we try to maintain kindness with our wives?
May Allah bless you. SubhanAllah, all of those rights are there to save the marriage, to prolong the marriage, to keep the happiness within the marriage. And when Allah Ta'ala said to us that we have to be nice towards them, it is for our own benefit. If you are nice towards your wife, she will be nice towards you. She will give you peace at home. But if you are hard towards her, you know what will happen at home. Anyway, let me just give you a story that will show how nice we can be at the beginning of the marriage, and then how we turn, how we change ourselves. And this story is a real story. It shows how a person might change after a while of his marriage. At the beginning, you might be nice, you might be very kind and very gentle.
The honeymoon stage, they call
it. Even the honeymoon. Even ask yourself, how you used to call your wife at the beginning of your marriage? My love, my this, isn't it? You use the best word, isn't it? My dear, and so on and so forth. But after 1 month, or after 3 months, or after 1 year, how are you going to call her? So and so, come, isn't it? Fatima or Amina. But after probably 2-3 years, you might call something else. Allahu A'lam. You might call her anything which is bad. However, let me give you a story. This is a true story of a man who got married, and in the day of his marriage, he said, "Let me go with my wife to a hotel." And they went to that hotel, and when they were when they were climbing the stairs, subhanallah ta'ala, she fell down. The man got shocked. "What's wrong? Are you okay? Are you fine? Shall I call the ambulance? Or, are you fine, my dear?" He was very shocked. She told him, I'm okay, just just help me to get up. So he helped her to get up. And then the night was, alhamdulillah ta'ala, okay. After 1 year of their marriage, this man and his wife, they said, okay, let's go to that same hotel to celebrate our marriage. After 1 year of their marriage. And then when they were climbing the stairs, in the same place, she fell down. After 1 year of marriage. What did he say now? What did he say? He said, are you blind? What's wrong with you? Every time you fall down, what's wrong with you? Subhanallah. You see, you change. Once you change your behavior and your treatment towards her, she will change as well, and she might treat you badly as well. And this will, of course, will affect your marriage.
But this is a natural cause of marriage. When you know, at first, when you're getting to know someone, it's exciting. It's
exactly.
You want to make them happy, and after you get used to them, it's kind of easy to forget your basics and come back to the basics. So is it recommended to always remember this rule and how it was, and this is how you should always treat them?
May Allah bless you, yes. Remember always that that being kind towards them is an act of worship. Being kind towards them, it's an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you will change your life. Your life will be changed. You will see the consequences of this. They will be nice towards you, and they will give you peace of mind at home. You'll have to practice it. Inshallah.
So we have to practice it. It's one of those things you have to try and go back to that. We see always, or a lot, for example, people being serious with their wives, that they associate being, true Muslim, with always being serious and strict, and on everything has to be strict and hard. But when dealing with your wife, is it okay to joke around and play around and have this attitude, or you should be strict?
Jazakallah khair. No, you shouldn't be strict. You shouldn't be strict at all at home. Well, if you make jokes with your wife, it is recommended in Islam. In fact, you might be as well rewarded, because you will create that love between you and her, and you will increase the love between you and her, which Islam wants. We have in the hadith, ثلاث ليسوا من اللعب. 3 things that might look like they are fun, but they're not fun in Islam. You will be given rewards for them. And he mentioned one of them is to train yourself in shooting using the bow, and also when you train your horse. And the third one is when you joke with your wife. It's not a fun. It is a rewardable action. Allah Ta'ala will reward you for it. You can have fun with your wife as much as you can, and you will have reward from this.
So basically, it is fun and it's rewardable, and it's rewardable.
It's wasting your time.
Yeah.
Whenever you have fun with her, you will be rewardable. You will be rewarded for this. Allah Ta'ala will reward you for it. Rasul used to practice it, and the Sahaba likewise. Rasul used to have a race with his wife, Aisha radiallahu anha.
It's just important to note that being serious is not mean, or trying to gain more reward. You should look for the easiest ways and best ways to gain reward. Exactly. And joking with your wife, it's fun, and you get this reward. Unfortunately, we have to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the husband's rights. Please stay tuned to the Excellence of Manners. We'll be back after these words. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly.
Back to the Prophet. Join Sheikh Ammar in the program Back to the Prophet, wherein he teaches us practical lessons from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the program, The Excellence of Manners. And thank you for joining us again, Sheikh Saeed. Assalamu alaikum.
May Allah bless you. Muhammad.
Before the break, we were talking about the dealing with the wife and how the manners of dealing with the wife. And we are getting into the dealing with the husband. But before we get into that, there's one last question regarding this. Are we rewarded, or is the husband rewarded for taking care of the needs of the wife, especially financially?
May Allah bless you. Jazakallah khair. Very good question. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for every single money that you give to your wife. Anything that you give her, Allah ta'ala will reward you for it. We have in the hadith, when a man said, Ya Rasulullah, which charity is better? The one that I give to my the one who is in need, or the one that I give to for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the one that I give to my wife? He said the best charity, or the one that you give to your wife, is far better. It's far better. So whenever you give her, Allah ta'ala will reward you for that money that you gave to your wife. And also, don't worry about, don't say, well, I'm not going to get married because I will have a lot of financial commitments. Allah ta'ala in the Quran said, وَأَنكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ And let those who are singles amongst you to get married. إِن يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِن يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ If they are poor, Allah Ta'ala will enrich them from His bounty. So never say that I'm poor and if I get married I will fall in poverty. It is from shaitan. As Allah Ta'ala said, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر Shaitan is promising you with poverty. وَيَأْمُرُكُم بِالْفَحْشَاءِ And he's saying to you and suggesting to you to choose another method, another way, to go into the indecency, to the vice, to the immorality, to the debauchery. But Allah Ta'ala is promising you forgiveness and wealth. وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُم مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا So we have a promise in that verse that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will increase our wealth. إِن يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاء If they are poor, Allah Ta'ala will enrich them from His bounty.
And besides wealth, we see that establishing this kind of family structure allows you to practice all the manners. And
exactly.
It's the easiest way to get the most reward. Being kind, being forgiving, charity, all the acts that we're learning, it's the easiest place to practice and get the most reward is the closest people to you, and that is your family and home.
I would like to add a point here. Rasulullah said Muhammad, that خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ The best amongst you are those who are the best for their family. Why? The ulama said because if you have good manners at your home, it is more likely to have good manners with people outside. But you might have good manners with people outside, in the masjid, or in the market, or at your work. But when you enter your house, it is a different story. You might erupt, you might get angry, you might use foul language, you might show your bad manners.
And it should be the exact opposite.
If you have good manners at home, you will have good manners
outside. Or not the exact opposite, but you should have both.
You should have both. May Allah bless you.
But it's more in the house. Now we come to the husband side. What is the status of a husband in Islam, in the family structure?
Well, let me summarize, because we don't have much time. Let me summarize in one hadith. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if a woman was to were to be dutiful to her husband, and beside this, if she prays her 5 prayer and fasts her Ramadan, her month, and she saves or she protects her private parts, and beside this, if she is dutiful to her husband, or if she is nice towards him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will in the day of judgment, Allah ta'ala will say to her, choose any door from the gates of Jannah to enter from it. قِيلَ ادْخُلِي مِنْ أَيِّ أَبْوَابِ الْجَنَّةِ شِئْتِ She will be given the choice to pick up or to choose any gate of the gates of Jannah, just by being dutiful towards her husband and doing all those righteous actions. That shows the status of husband in Islam. Subhanallah.
And it also shows a quick or an easy access or special access only to the wife
Exactly.
in achieving or reaching heaven.
Subhanallah ta'ala. Yani, by being dutiful and obedient to her husband will help her to be from the people of Jannah, inshallah.
Do does the husband and wife have equal rights in Islam?
They do have equal rights. They do have equal rights in Islam. However, the man has probably a more right. And I will talk about when I mentioned the verse, Allah Ta'ala in the Quran said, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And women have rights against their husbands. The same right that they have against their husbands have that right against them. So you will have same rights together. However, وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ. But men have a degree of responsibility upon them. They are in charge of them. They are responsible of their needs, of their financial needs. And they are the leaders of the family.
And just like the husband is supposed to take care of the needs of the wife, and the wife is obviously supposed to take care of the needs of the husband.
Exactly.
What is the danger or the punishment of a wife that rejects her husband or does not fulfill his needs or is not there for him?
Subhanallah. First of all, she is deputizing his deen because look at when the husband asks his wife to answer his needs, he's doing this out of nature. He's in need of this. It's part of his nature. And when she rejects that, she will jeopardize his deen, isn't it? And that's why we have in the Sunnah, we have in the authentic hadith, that if she does that, if a man calls his wife for his bed, or to his bed, and she rejects that, or she refuses this, and then he went to sleep with anger, or while he's angry, the angels will curse her until the morning. Because by doing this, she might force him to fall in haram. And she might break the marriage itself.
So this is one of the hikmas or the reasons why this is a dangerous...
A very dangerous act.
Is because it might cause him to fall into...
Something which is haram. Exactly,
yeah. How about, we want to get into some of the etiquettes of dealing or the obligations. The wife is mainly supposed to take care of the house and the needs of the house.
Exactly.
Or depending on the culture. What is she supposed to do if, for example, somebody wants to come into the house? Is she allowed to let him in? Should she let them in? Or how should she deal with this?
Let me summarize and say that she's allowed to let anyone in except those whom her husband dislikes, or whom his husband dislikes and doesn't want them to enter his house. Okay, and obviously she cannot allow men to enter her house without the presence of her husband. But if there are anyone that her husband is not happy for him to be inside his house, then she's not allowed to allow them inside his house.
I just mentioned she's obligated to serve him. Can you clarify that for us, please? Is it an obligation upon her to serve the house, to be in the house, or is this just a cultural thing, or what can we understand as the woman's position?
May Allah bless you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, to serve him, as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said, it is linked with culture. Linked with culture. And it depends on the culture that they are living in. Okay? But generally she's supposed to serve him. She's supposed to serve him. But probably in a culture, or in some cultures, that she might give more, she might offer him a lot of things, or she might give a lot of service towards him. And in different culture she might doesn't. So it depends on the culture that they are living in. But she mainly should treat him well. Treat him well, look after his needs, as he's treating her well, and looking after her needs. So she should look after his needs and serve him at home as much as she can, and let her look at this as an act of ibadah, act of worship. When she obeys him and she serve him, it's an act of ibadah. Allah Ta'ala will reward her for this.
Jazakumullah khair. We've come to the end of our program. I hope you find this episode beneficial, and I encourage you to read as much as possible regarding this issue. And remember that the main underlying issue here is the kindness between the husband and the wife, that this should be our underlying manner between the husband and the wife, and that having this manner is an act of worship on both sides, and it's a way for us to gain more reward and enter paradise, inshaAllah. Join us again next time on The Excellence of Manners. I'd like to thank once again Sheikh Saeed Al-Qadi. Thank you again.
Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Thabakallah.
And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Excellence of Manners. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Fortunate is he who remembers Allah abundantly. Worldly distractions cannot mildly sway his thoughts of Allah and Judgment Day. Righteous is he who bows to one he cannot see, whose deeds do not spring without Bismillah, fulfilling his task with perfect taqwa.